Hey there, welcome to the Focus Podcast with Taralee. This is the place where we talk about real life, real relationships, and how to grow through it all. If you're looking for simple mindset shifts, better communication, and deeper connections, you're in the right spot. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Focus Podcast with Taralee. I'm Taralee, and today I have a special guest, Todd Christensen. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you.
I'm going to let him tell a little bit about himself, but full disclosure, I kind of roped him into this. He got the invite yesterday with my husband golfing, and I kind of said, hey, see if Todd will come on with me today. So this was kind of last minute for him, and I'm grateful that he took the time to do this. So he has some very wise wisdom to share with us. And so, Todd, tell us a little bit about the work that you do and what you've kind of spent your life doing.
Super. Well, first, thanks. And I'll go golfing anytime if I get invited to come do this. But so a little bit about my background. I've been in leadership development, training, kind of the organizational development stuff my whole life. A long time ago, it kind of started. I laugh. I was a drug lord pushing drugs for a wholesale company. And I would train and I'd see some people's light just click on. And the same joke, others, it just wouldn't happen. I'm like, okay, well, what's the deal here? And somebody looked at me and says, do you know what instructional design is? Like, I have no clue. It says, well, you should look at it. It's how adults learn. It's all that kind of stuff. And I thought, oh, if I could make lights click on, that would probably be good. So got me back to school, got a master's in instructional design, and then had some great opportunities to get into leadership. But the reason I love it is because it gave me the unique ability to start to create content and develop content and work with leaders all around the world and be able to get that light bulb to switch on a lot more. And so the things that I do, especially working on now, is what can I do that really helps that learning for a leader to become a better leader, the best version of themselves. But I spent several years in the Middle East, and I'm going on way too long.
No.
So we
absolutely not. No, Although then you say Middle East and you said drug lord, and I'm like, you might want to clarify what kind of pharmaceutical type, whatever.
I can leave all that out. I'll just say that I'm in the Middle East. So all right. So my bad.
Yeah, that's so funny. So you spent years developing leaders and high performing teams. What has that work taught you about people then? Well,
what's fascinating to me, and part of what I'm looking at now and what I'm doing, is it's really about relationship-based leadership. Because as I've worked with hundreds of leaders all around the world, one thing that I notice when they're at their best and they're truly leading and people are following them, they know how to build the relationships to make things happen. Mm-hmm. And it kind of comes in the definition I love, which I kind of go back to the base when I'm working with anyone. Leadership is the art of mobilizing others to want to struggle. And I put that want to struggle for the shared aspirations. And so when we really start looking at what that is, I started realizing that even though the great leaders didn't realize it, they were great relationship builders. Mm-hmm. And building something long-term, a legacy, is about people, not as much about ROI and what you do, because it's those people that help you get where you need to go. And so that's one thing that I've loved about leadership, is it's a people business.
Yeah, I agree. And I work a lot with couples and individuals who kind of are leaders and entrepreneurs and business owners, and you and I have had this conversation off camera, but that a lot of times they can lead teams of people and can lead their whole crew, and that then they are like, okay, why am I struggling in my marriage, or why am I struggling to lead my family? And so that's kind of where I kind of come in and help them understand that. And I know that's just some of the tools that you have, teach them some of these things too. So I know that's kind of why I wanted to bring you on and talk a little bit about this. So you've also written several books. You're an author and have lots of stuff in the works too. Some of the stuff we'll talk about today. Some of the stuff I think we're going to have you back on a little bit later to kind of talk on. So we can talk a little bit about that. bringing it back to your books focus on purpose and significance. So why has that message mattered to you so much?
One of the things that I looked at, and it's kind of interesting, I wrote the book first on, how to find your purpose by what we do a 21-day project on how to be significant. Mm-hmm. And where it started, I realized there was a lot in leadership, but as I lived in the Middle East for so long, I was asked to lead a group of a bunch of people across the Arabian Peninsula, about 7 different countries. And so every Sunday we get on, or I should say Friday, it's Friday over there. Mm-hmm. Every Friday we get on Zoom and we'd hold meetings and things that way. So while I was over there, COVID hit. And because of COVID and very, very different in Saudi Arabia where I was that way, a lot of people were scared, and you could just see the terror and the uncertainty happening that way. And I thought, what can we do to turn that around and get people to focus where it needs to focus instead of worried about them the entire time? And so we implemented what we call the 21-day challenge, Be Significant. And it was just very simple. It's like each day when you wake up, mm-hmm. pray, ask, who can I reach out and do something to make a difference for them today, whether it's just say, hey, thinking of you, whether it's giving them information maybe they didn't have, whatever it is, and let God kind of direct them to do that. And so as a group, as we started reaching out, it's amazing how things turned around when we're meeting about people are so scared about getting COVID to helping other people, and we got to worry about people. And it came off of them where, I'm not worried about myself anymore, mm-hmm. and just changed the dynamics. And so much like leadership, as we talk about, if I got a great leader and they can start to focus on the people and help them feel safe and valued and appreciated, it changes the dynamics greatly. And again, people want to struggle. They're excited. They're engaged about a purpose when it's something bigger than themselves and they're helping. So that's kind of where the book came.
I think that's great. Why do you think people struggle when they, if they don't know their purpose?
Well, it comes back to if I want to be a leader, and it comes family or anything that way, people are looking for leaders to know where they're going and have this vision as it goes forward, mm-hmm. as they're looking that way. If I don't understand who I am and what drives me and my beliefs and why I do what I do, then I'm kind of like the ship without an anchor, right? Mm-hmm. This looks good, but I go back and forth. Yeah. So as I tie that down and get to understand myself, then it's easy for me to be authentic. Mm-hmm. And people get me. They might not agree with me, but they know there's a consistency with me on what I'm doing that way. Yeah. And so I think the struggle is just, especially on the leadership, a lot of leaders are thrust into it, and then it's like, I need to worry about delegation. I need to worry about all these things. Yet they've never had a chance to sit down and really understand themselves first, which is most important to share with the people that you're working with, right? To be kind of significant, as I call it, right? Be a leader of significance. How do you change people's lives and help bring out the best in them? Yeah. If you do that, then it's good. So
yeah. Well, and I wonder how that's shaped your life. Like I know you've been married to Heather for 35 years now, almost?
Yeah, my parents had to bribe her to marry me, but I'm grateful for that
She's
bribe.
Amazing. She's amazing. He did score on that one for sure. She's amazing. So do you feel like that, taking that into your married life has kind of helped shape your life with your kids? How has that affected you, knowing these things?
Well, it's kind of funny is leadership and being in the leadership industry probably saved my marriage and let Heather put up with me. Because as you start to look and you think, well, leadership's here, and sometimes I hear a leader is very different at work than they are at home. Yes. And I thought, well, how can you be two very different people? Because then you got this cognitive dissonance issues that you're dealing with that way. And so it's kind of funny because I'm just kind of hard-headed, I remember, I think the second day married, I told my wife that my mom made better pancakes than her.
Oh.
Yeah, anyway, it's like, it's like, okay, I understand you don't do
No.
that.
You didn't make that mistake again, I'm sure.
But it's funny as we get into the principles on how you deal with people, right? When you're your best and you're having problems and you're needing to come up with solutions. It was kind of funny how I could take that same thing from what I was actually doing at work and say, wow, maybe I should take this and apply it back to my life and with my family. If I want to lead, it's not my vision of what I say, right? What's our shared goals? What do we want to accomplish as a family?
Yeah.
What excites the kids? Getting them involved, just like you would a leader on the other side. And so I started to really find this parallel that leadership, regardless of where you are, the context changed, but those principles are the same to help people feel safe. Psychological safe is a huge one that way. So the verbal can be really, really brutal by just saying something offhand. That way can destroy a relationship really quick. But if they're safe and if they're valued and appreciated and you share that gratitude, it makes a difference on both sides. So I think leadership probably saved me and helped me stay in this marriage because I'm so far from being perfect.
Aren't we all?
It's amazing what Heather puts up with, but it's great. It's helped shape our vision, what we want to do. We support each other, understand what drives us, what's exciting, and again, what's most important as that family unit to move forward for us. So.
Yeah. Well, and you touched on a few of the things that I talk about, like STARV needs, the safety, trust, appreciation, respect, validation, encouragement, dedication. 7 basic needs that we all need in our relationships. And if we don't have those, then, we end up fighting and we fight about the smoke. I learned this from Dr. Matt Townsend. These are things, not my ideas, but they're his that I kind of incorporate into some of my teaching because I think they're so great to help us understand those things and how we can create those relationships and feed those relationships. So looking back now, what do you feel like you understand better than you did as a new husband, starting your family, new leader? What do you think that what would you go back and tell your younger self at this point?
I think the younger self, and it probably personality, more of us are driven than others. I just find my drive was, okay, I got to make money for the family. I got to do this. And so I justify, I've got to take this trip and I got to go here because I'm taking care of the family, providing. Well, that is very important. I realized that it was my vision putting up on the family. I'm doing this, and it was my excuse for missing ball games, my excuse for doing that. And sometimes that's important. It needs to happen. There's got to be balance. But I started to realize the more we talk about a shared vision for leaders that are successful, you have to understand those people you work with. And I wish, Heather and me would have been more on the same sheet of paper saying, what do you want? What do I need? How do we work this together to make it happen? Instead of just saying, I'm out here taking care of this and you take care of the kids. And,
Too separate.
Exactly. It was kind of like, this is my job. This is your job. Where no, we are equal that way in what we do. I might be more on making the money side. But again, I was just assuming that this is what Heather wanted instead of actually having that discussion and say, hey, where do we want to move forward? Because if I do this, this happens. How do we support each other and our goals and what we want to accomplish? So, but like leadership, and I think growing up, it's a process, right? We continue to learn, and the older we get, hopefully we don't make the same dumb mistakes over and over again. And
sometimes we need to change and shift gears. And my dad used to always say, well, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And I don't know where that came from, but I just remember him telling me that. Maybe it was something else. But so sometimes, if you feel like you're stuck and you can't get past it, if you keep doing what you've always done, you're just going to keep creating the same things. So we've got to get out and break some of that those patterns and those things that we kind of get stuck in.
Yeah.
And I know that you have something really amazing that kind of teaches people that, something that you've kind of taken to leaders and to corporations and things and have taught people. Would you tell us a little bit about that? Because I find it fascinating what you do.
That was a great segue. I'm impressed, but part of my background, again, is looking for newer ways, better ways for the light bulb to turn on, for leaders to take it to heart on how to become the best that I can. And again, with people. And so some might be listening, some might be able to hear this. I don't know. About what we're doing is we're working what we call a box. And people have heard it says, yeah, you got to think out of the box. And it's like, well, they don't tell us how to think out of the box. But the issue comes is, why do we need to think out of the box? It's because, we're doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Or some people said that's insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over. Yeah. And so with this box, whether you're a CEO, and I've done this with miners and loggers and out on oil platforms, but a good friend of mine created what he called a box. And it's kind of funny, as we come in, you can kind of see the box, and I kind of got there. And I'll walk in and I'll put this on my head. I'll say, hey, my name's Todd. I got a box on my head, right? But the interesting thing is the box dictates how I see, how I hear, how I interact. And then when I can pull this back off, it's the same. My name's Todd. I still have a box on my head. Yeah. You just don't see it, right? And it's still how I see, how I hear, how I interact with people. And so while this box is amazing, and this kind of shows us the outside our facade or our Facebook page, right? How we want people to see us and view us. When we look at on the inside, there's a whole lot of different things going, and I won't go into all that. But when you look at the box, and I have people put that on, what it starts to do is I take something very, how do you say it? Something that, that you kind of had a hard time getting your head around, and I make it very physical at this point. And I get people to talk with this box on their head, and they're like, oh yeah, my breath stinks. But I can't communicate. I get frustrated. And so the power with this box as I work with people they start to say, oh, when I feel uncomfortable, when these things are happening. So when I don't know what to do with my marriage, and I'm not acting very well and communicating very well with Heather or the kids or things that way, or at work when something's bothering me, I realize I got to figure out how to think out of the box. And so this process, as we do teams or leaders, it can do many things. We start to process and say, okay, people want to change, they just don't want to be changed. And so if I can get a big enough dream, coming that leadership, right, that shared vision, where people are excited, people then are willing to open up this box inside, allow them to be more authentic, allow them to be more curious, and we get them to think about the things that are holding them back. I love Dr. Covey. He talks that circle of influence. It's like, let's get rid of all the things that you have no control over, that's stopping you, right? What are these new things we need to learn? A great book. It's how, or it's not. Now I'm not good at saying it, but it's not the how, it's the who.
Okay.
And great leaders don't need to know how they're going to get where they go. Because a great vision, I'm not quite sure, but great leaders now find the people that know how to do that. And so again, with that team, you move forward. And so this box, getting the dream big enough, starting to talk through things, people start to understand, okay, I got to open up this box and not just get out of it, but I got to build this bigger box. And what's even cooler is once you build the box, then you can put it around 5 or 10 people. And if people see what your dreams are, and if they see your curiosity, your authenticity, things that way, now we got a team again, which is really leadership. I got a group working on this common goal, common vision. We have relationships with each other, which kind of moves things on. But the box is very good at doing that, allowing people to say, hey, how do I change? And then we get a little passcode, right? After you get this, it's like, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like, oh, don't know what to do. Yeah. What's this little code to say, okay, yeah, let me think about that. Take a deep breath. Who do I need to find? Who do I need to, what questions do I need to ask to be able to solve this problem?
Yeah.
But it's not me solving it. It's now this whole team. It's a whole group of people as you're willing to share and understand what they want to. So don't know if that makes sense, but it's exciting, and it talks about
That's fun. It's something fun that you've taken into corporations and businesses and helped train these leaders, but something that you can take into your family and help enlist their help and in creating a shared vision with one another too. Yeah.
And so you talk a lot probably about emotions, right? Emotional intelligence, that's huge. That's the number one indicator of successful people is how do I handle the emotions? And what I love about this is they're really taking the unconscious and making it conscious. People starting to say, oh, when I feel that right? It's that emotional connection when I make the invisible visible, and now I can tangibly touch it and say, okay, this is why, now I can take the impossible, which I didn't think was going to happen. I can make it possible. I can make it actionable that way.
Yeah.
And it really comes back to understanding those emotions. Why do we feel that way?
Yeah.
And it works with family. It's that principle that works all the way across to Sunday school, different. I mean, it's amazing what you can do to help people grow, get out of that box and become as I say, right, who they're supposed to be, reach their full purpose. That's really why I do what I do is how do I help people reach their full potential that way.
Yeah, and your books help with a lot of that too. So I'm going to link all this in the show notes too. So, okay, we're going to shift it a little bit here because I want to talk a little bit about, so we've kind of talked about leadership and leadership in your business but also at home. So what leadership qualities do you feel like help a marriage thrive? Because I know sometimes by the time they come to me, they're like, okay, help me, but what can they take? What would you offer to a leader or a business owner or entrepreneur to take some of their really good qualities and apply them to their marriage?
I think that's a great question. You can kind of answer, I think that's several ways. The first thing I find with leaders, and I do a lot of working with executives, is really stepping back and reanalyzing what are my values, what are my beliefs, because the beliefs dictate what I do and what my actions are that way. And so as I talk with a lot of executives and we'll go through, we'll give them the top 5 values and they'll write that out. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of the values come out is family. And then we'll prioritize as like family is the very, very most important thing to me. And then this is kind of where the zinger comes, no judgment whatsoever, but I'm just like, okay, you've been divorced 20 times and 900 kids, right?
Yeah.
And they all hate you. And you say family's most important, right? Yeah. And so some of them will look at me and say, oh, yeah, family probably not a value. I'm just putting it because that's what I expect other people.
Yeah.
And it's all right because family doesn't have to be that's just who you are that way. Others, you can kind of start to see the tears coming and say, yeah, I know it's terrible. And that's all right too. But it's that connection, starting to understand, okay, if family is most important, and it kind of comes back to what I was talking about, right? If I have this shared vision, I might be doing that great with my work, but do I have that with my family? Are we willing to struggle together as a husband and a wife and say, okay, yeah, we know this will be tough, but we love where we're going and what we're going to get at the end. And so coming back to the values, so you talk qualities or things that way, it's really coming back to yourself, introspect, and start to say, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I believing? And then I'm starting to say, how do my actions now relate with my values and my belief system? And then I can start to plug that in. So a family is important. And I know they say life balance, but life really isn't I can do 25, 25,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It really kind of goes this way and back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I have to be focused on a business because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm running it, and that's just where it is. But I also know family's top priority. So as I'm doing this, I'm taking big chunks of time and saying, great, how do I support my family? And I'm making sure that that's plugged into my time as high priority instead of putting it on the back burner, like I'm going to get to it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what great leaders do. And as you look at being a good husband for me or that, it's starting to say, okay, I'm making the time specifically. I'm planning that out on a calendar, and this is becoming sacred to me. This is, no, we don't change this, or if we do change it, I'm making sure I'm giving it equal time because it's not a perfect world that way. But I'm really starting to live on who I am, who I want to be. And again, that kind of puts us on God's purpose. What does God really want me to do? What was the talents that he gave me to do and to accomplish that way? And if I'm in that direction, I feel a lot better about myself. I don't have that cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
That box isn't as scary on my head thinking, okay, wow, I got to change things, do things different because what I'm doing now is not working.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the biggest thing I see is just taking that time in each year. What are my goals? What are we going to do this year? And if you got a family, right, it's okay. Kids, we are going to Disneyland. Okay, what are you going to do? What are you willing to do, right, to help? And it might be chores and it might be helping mom around the house while she's off doing some things that make her feel good about herself and help her reach her. There's many things, but it comes back to that whole definition, right, is helping mobilize whoever that is, family, people, to want to struggle or willing to put whatever they need because there's a shared aspiration, both of you. It's like this is what we get if we go through this process together. Yeah. And that's what builds the relationships and helps it be strong even when times are hard. You get to know each other a whole lot better.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's some leadership habits that accidentally hurt connection in a marriage?
That's a good question. And it's funny, one of the reasons why I've come back after the 25 years of doing this and teaching about any class you can imagine on leadership is there's a lot of teaching you how to manage, how to delegate, how to lead up, all that kind of stuff. And we forget, and really I come back and say we need to define what true leadership is to you that way. There's probably 100,000 different definitions.
Yeah.
But if I can define what a leader is, right, about mobilizing others to want to struggle and make sure we have that shared aspiration, that seems to center things because now I'm more people-centered. I have to learn about those I'm dealing with. What motivates you? What are you excited about? What are you going to get out of this as we move towards this direction? Yeah. So if I don't have that focus, I think in executives, 1 year in, it's amazing how many executives just quit. I'm running, setting expectations here. Yeah. And I get into I'm doing it for the family. I'm doing it to provide vacations. I'm the big house. But the kids really I'd rather have a smaller house if I could spend time with dad, right?
Have dad
as
show
opposed to
up.
dad's never here. And so you can kind of see, again, that cognitive dissonance. So I think our expectations on what a leader is, especially if I'm running a company or I'm an entrepreneur, we can get really focused on doing great, being successful that way. And again, forget that value. I keep coming back to those values that are so important.
Yeah.
Why are you doing what you're doing? And make sure the people most important to you are in the game plan. That they're playing the game. They understand the rules. That you know where you're going, and everybody's happy moving in that right direction.
Yeah. You made a comment about, people do want to change. They just don't want to be changed. Yeah. And so if you're bringing this, I think sometimes strength for a leader is to be able to lead, but if they're coming in and using that to control their family or control, you're going to get a lot of pushback, and that's not going to go well, especially if you have teenagers. I don't know if anybody out there has teenagers, but they don't like to be pushed very often. So I think if you can get them to and create that shared goal together, you mentioned like Disneyland. If we're working towards something, that's not going to entice your kids if they don't like Disneyland. I mean, what kid doesn't like Disneyland? But they're not going to work towards that goal of, you think, okay, we're going to work towards this family vacation together. But if that's not something they even want to do, you're not going to enlist their help to do that. So if your family or your wife does not have that same shared goal, I know my husband and I, you know a little bit about this. Our goal is he wants to retire in 7 years. He has we have it all mapped out. So we have this goal that we both would love to kind of take a month and go in the RV here and there, get another RV. We sold our one from before, but that's our shared goal. So if that was his goal and I had no intention of ever traveling in an RV, then that would not be something that he's working towards, but I'd be like, no, let's not do that. I'd be trying to, and that I would think would cause friction between the two of us. Or if I wanted to travel in an RV and he wants to travel the world and by plane, then that's kind of, we're working towards opposite things. And so I think kind of coming up with something that we both want to do. At one time we kind of thought, oh, maybe we'd do that full time for a little while, but then I realized I don't want to be full time in that. Like he probably could. I want to still have a house to come back to with the kids and eventually grandkids. Yeah. So we've kind of compromised that to where we'll go for a month and then come back and then go. I think, and he's seeing that the same. Like, okay, yeah, that does seem like it's kind of the best of all worlds, and so those things can adjust and change throughout married life too.
Well, I love what you say, because in business so many times, if I got a business that's been established for so long, here's our 5-year plan, here's our 10-year plan, this is the direction we're moving.
Yeah.
But if I'm a new company or I'm a unicorn or whatever that looks like, that plan might change every 2 weeks depending on who we talk to and different connections.
Yeah.
And so it's a very different animal on things have to change. And I know we said this 2 weeks ago, this is what we're doing, but now this is the direction.
Yeah.
It's still moving in that direction on where we want to go, but we're learning more about the how as people come on. Oh, this is a better way to do it.
Yeah.
And with families, it's the same way. Sometimes we get into, okay, well, this is what we want, but then we never talk about it again. And it's like, well, life changes.
Yeah.
We have different experiences.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I have a life-altering experience. You have 2 or 3 of those probably in your life where it's like, oh, I see things differently. And at that time, it's very important to turn around and say, okay, let's discuss. Is this still where we want to go?
Yeah.
Does this still get us?
Yeah.
I laugh with Kiara, so Kiara well, but
his daughter.
we're in Saudi Arabia and been there about 5 years. She's just turning 16, and we're just like, we really feel like we need to bring her home to the States, let her go to school there, some very things. So me, again, typical leadership, right? I'm going to tell you what to do because I know it's best, right? Yeah. Just thinking Kiara would be thrilled to go back to the U.S. because of the opportunities. So says, hey, Kiara, we're moving, we're sending you back. You get to go to school back in the U.S. And it was just like blow up. I'm like, what just happened here? I thought you'd be excited. And so 2 weeks, it was just... Anyway, it was just crazy.
Teenage drama.
It was. I thought, come on, can't you see this? Yeah. But again, as a leader, right, it's like, I think I know what you want. And so I'm making decisions without, and then, without the input.
Yeah.
And then I was just facilitating a new class, getting ready to teach it. It's called Fierce Conversations. So kind of a fun book talking about communications and having honest communications. And they had this one line in there. It says, if you want to cut through everything, just say, what's the most important thing we need to talk about right now? And I thought, see, this is why leadership probably saved my marriage and everything that way, right? It's like, this would be so good for Kiara.
Yeah.
So I went home, took it, says, okay, sat down, and she's got these big eyes looking at me, and you can see they're starting to tear up again. Says, okay, Kiara, forget everything we've done. What is the most important thing we need to talk about right now? So she looked at me. It's like, are you serious, Dad? Come on. I know where this is going, right? We're going to go. It's like, no. I said, that's all I want to know. She knew I was sincere at that point. And then it came out. She says, yeah, as long as you let me play rugby when I go back, I'm happy to go back to the U.S. I'm like, rugby? We've never talked rugby. I never played. So well, where did rugby come from?
Yeah.
And it was really kind of sobering to me to realize as I reflect on those experiences, because that reflection makes me better. It's like Kiara didn't feel involved in the decision whatsoever to go back, which just says, hey, we're doing it. We'll know you'll be excited. But if I would have done that differently, and family counsel or however say, this is what we're thinking, why, what do we need, and gone that process, had been very different. But the fact that just that one liner, she felt valued at that time, appreciated, that I wanted to know. I was, opening up that box, trying to think out of the box. How do we do this? And it made a huge difference that way. But things change, right? Where we thought we were in 3 years, it's like, no, we need to go back to the U.S. So we got to
reevaluate.
You got to reevaluate, whether it's yearly or not, even your values and what's important to you and different things that way. My humor value, which is number 2, is now number 3, but there's always got to be humor, right?
Yeah,
But,
always. Of course, yes.
Terrible dad jokes, right? But
yeah.
we won't do no dad jokes here, but...
We love dad jokes around here, yeah. Well, I know just even with my own business, I had, a quarter plan and what I wanted to put out and content for podcast and for my coaching business and all of that. And as I kind of went along and yes, it's really, my business and my things, but as I'm listening to the clients and people coming to me, those kind of have to shift a little bit because I see a different need. I see a different direction, that things that people are needing to hear, things that people are struggling with that might need additional help. And so some of the times those things we have to be flexible, and that's hard to do when you have a plan and you have this, and you don't have probably a lot of time to plan, but it's like, nope, we got to kind of go with where the need is. And so where's the need? What's the most important thing we need to talk about right now? I love that. I think that's great to sit down in your marriage and your family. What's the most important thing we need to talk about right now? Because I think sometimes we forget about that. We just start looking at all the problems, and you think you need to just be putting out fires all the time. And sometimes we just need to sit down and bring it back to that part.
Yeah, you need to sit down, provide an environment where we can have the talk. That's why I love the box so much, because what I found is a leader's not going to change unless it's uncomfortable enough.
Yeah.
So if they think things are going great, then it doesn't matter what I say or what they read or anything, something's got to happen that starts to say, okay, wow. And so now I got a great coaching tool. I've got a great tools to go through as a coach and say, okay, let's talk about this now, and let's see, how do we think out of the box? What do I need to change? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important. Again, what I love what you do is executives and leaders know that I've got to have a coach, and to get my golf game better, I've got to have a coach. But sometimes we forget about that a coach can be so powerful, asking you the questions, getting you out of the box and say, oh, I'm seeing things differently than I've ever seen before. And I'm willing to ask questions that I've ever seen before. And I think that's the one powerful thing I've learned on both sides is we can't do it by ourselves. You need people. There's great tools out there to make it happen. And that's kind of fun, but powerful that way.
That's something that I've seen, with a client recently that was very black and white thinking and just did not quite understand all the gray that really is in relationships and in a lot of things in the world. And I've kind of helped him open his mind a little bit about that where there's sometimes that we're sitting down, and we're talking over Zoom and or whatever, and I'll say something and he's just like, I never thought of it that way. And so it's kind of helping get outside of that box, that there is a lot more than what we kind of see and how we see things and how we think that we see the world, to open our minds a little bit more and be willing to change, be willing to be open to some of that stuff. We've got to open that door just a little bit. And I know your box has little different things for the ears and the eyes, and it's really amazing. Like, it's so cool. And the things that you kind of take people through, that's kind of like, you gave us a little brief thing of it, but you take people through a long process with it that really just light bulb moments for people.
Yeah, we can do half a day or a full day. And the power, again, is I'm making something that's unconscious. They know it's working, they don't know why, and now we can put words to it, emotions. And that's why I love all these visual tools, just so much powerful. But as we say, if I can get them to want to open that box from the inside, and we can define that vision, what motivates you to do what you do.
Yeah.
Because if you're not motivated to change, you're not going to change, and you're not going to go through that pain. And it's kind of the same way with families.
Yeah.
When that pain, when you're uncomfortable, it's like, I don't know what to do. It's like, you need to sit down and start to, again, figure that out, however that works. And
enlist some help. Enlist
100%.
Get you to come in and train their future leaders and their teams and whatever, and a coach if you need it on the home side, right? Tell us a little bit. So I know you've shared a little bit of like some of your exciting things coming up with me, and I know you're maybe not ready to expose all of that yet, but it's great stuff. I tell you, you gotta be ready, because there's some great stuff. But if people wanted to get a hold of you, what is the best way? And we'll make sure we link it.
I think the best way is just shoot me an email that way. So I feel like I'm kind of getting my second career, what I want to do when I grow up. Spent so much time around the world working several companies and consulting on leadership, from heads of state to small mom and pops. It's great. And then with everything happening in the Middle East, obviously I'm not headed back there anymore.
No.
And so it's fun. I'm taking all the things that I've learned, what I've loved and passionate about, and starting to package that with this new book coming out, right? Talking about relationships and talking about how do you be a leader of significance that way. The box, fantastic tool, and other things that we're using. So I'm still putting all that together as far as website and things on how I want to present that as it kind of develops, and we got some really cool things coming. But right now, if you want to talk more box or see where that is or anything that way, email. Just shoot me an email, and that's usually best. If you call me, I got too much spam, so I usually don't answer that. I guess you can text me, and then I read it. But email, and we can talk. And
what's your email?
If there's a win-win, so Todd at yourlifeyourteam.com.
Okay, and I'll put that across here, and we'll put it in the show notes, and make sure people can reach you for those kinds of things, because you've got lots of other things that we haven't even touched on here today. But some great, and if you need golf tips too. I know my husband said he helped him a ton yesterday with some of this. He had one of the best games he's had in a long time. So golf tips, I know you're always willing to go golfing. So
always willing to go golfing, yes. And if you have a get me on the Masters, then no.
There you go. Yep, that's coming up here shortly. So there's an in there somewhere. But well, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else that I know we talked about a little bit before that maybe I'm forgetting to talk about today?
I think we go. It's just, I'm amazed. Truth is truth. And I love Dr. Covey when I talk to him. He's got that book, The 7 Habits, and it's old, but it's one of the most powerful books I ever read. And the principles still remain true regardless of what we're teaching and what you're doing as far as leadership or about developing. It's develop yourself first. You got to work on yourself. Others come around when you develop that, but I love the story. Maybe just kind of end it, but my mom sent me a story when I was young, and I was kind of struggling that way, trying to change the world. Nobody was listening, but she talks about a Parisian general. It says, Parisian general wanted to change the world or change the country, and so he tried to lead this revolution. And it's funny that we're talking about Persia and Iran right now, right? But anyway, the old days, and realized that he couldn't do that. So I thought, well, if I can't change a country, I'm going to change at least the county or the area that I am. that didn't work anyway. So he says, well, at least I can change my town. Well, that didn't work. Well, at least I can change my family. And so finally, on the deathbed, it kind of hits him. It's like, oh, if I would have changed myself and been the person that I was wanting everybody else to be, my family, that would have changed my family. My family could have changed the community. The community could have changed the region. The region could have led a revolution. And that's truly where leadership is.
Yeah.
Husband, whatever relationships you have that way, is if we work on ourselves and we truly understand who we are, our purpose, that's how we make change. And that's how we find that shared vision. Because somebody wants to follow somebody who knows what they're going. And if you don't have that conviction that, I always like your life, your team, there's a reason we named it that way, right? We say life is a full contact sport, right? When you get knocked down, if you don't have that conviction or the right team around you to get you back up, you stop. You don't open up that door. You stay confined in the box. And the box, as great as it is helping you with some things, it limits you and you'll never be able to get what you do. So it kind of comes back. And again, if you need help with that or a retrospect, great people.
Right here.
To help out and to start to talk through that, and which really can make a difference in your life that way. But I love that story from my mom. I've always remembered that, and it helps ground me. It says, okay, Todd, quit worrying. Right? Worry about yourself. The others will come, and you'll attract the people that you want to get done what you need to, as long as you get who you need to be that way.
You be the change. That Gandhi quote my dad used to love. Be the change you want to see in the world.
I love it.
So thank you so much for being here, and
thank
we'll
you.
have you back and share when you're ready to share some of this other new stuff that I'm really excited about.
That would be good. Just tell Jason to invite me golfing more again, and I'll be happy.
Last minute.
Twist my arm. Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for hanging out with me today on the Focus Podcast. If something stood out or helped you in some way, feel free to share it or leave a quick review. It means a lot. Keep showing up, keep growing, and I'll catch you in the next episode.